morning. Today is July 22nd, 2020, and Mrs. Gus and I are bringing you a segment all about careers. We also have some special guests popping in to talk about what their favorite books are.
Dog pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic on which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So let's take a look at our standards for today. All right, so after viewing the career segments, we are going to be doing some activities. All right, so the first one, we are going to be writing arguments to support claims with clear reasons and relevant evidence. All right, you're also going to be writing informative and explanatory text to examine a topic. And as we've done every Wednesday, you are going to be producing clear and coherent writing in which the development, organization, and style are appropriate to task, purpose, and audience.
Good morning, CMSD scholars and caregivers and everyone watching today. Today's episode, we are focusing all on careers. So you are going to see a whole bunch of different career opportunities for you. As you can see right here, I am in front of a city hall. All right, so maybe you're into politics. Maybe you would like to become a judge. Maybe you'd like to become a prosecutor. Maybe you'd like to become a mayor. Well, this would be the building that you would be working at. So we are so excited to show you everything that there is today. Incoming 8th graders, the True to You program is part of today's segment, and you are going to learn so much not only about yourself, but also about your personality traits that fit best with these amazing careers we have to show you. All right, I'm so excited. Here we go.
Hi CMSD students, this is Diana Tokach, and I've been teaching reading in Cleveland for almost 20 years now. Mrs. Gus had asked me to make you a video about novels that I enjoy, and I had a really hard time narrowing it down to one novel. So I'm going to tell you about a few novels that I enjoy. The first novel I'm going to tell you about is called Forged by Fire by Sharon M. Draper. And the reason that I really love this novel is because it's realistic fiction, which means it's a made-up story, but it seems like it could be true. And the very first few lines of this book grab you and make you want to keep reading about Gerald. When I would read it out loud to my middle schoolers, they would beg me to keep reading because everybody wanted to know what happens to Gerald. And in the book, Gerald is a young boy whose mother ends up going to jail, and he's sent to live with an aunt who takes very good care of him. It follows him throughout his childhood, and you get to empathize with him throughout all of these different issues he has to deal with in his life. Sharon M. Draper has also written other books in a series, and there are other books that have Gerald in it and go with his friends too. So it's one of these books where you can open up a whole new world and read other books about other characters in there. The next book I'm going to tell you about is an autobiography. And that means that it's a true story, and it's written by David Peltzer. And he writes a true story about his own childhood. This book is called A Child Called It. Now this book is the true story of David's childhood, where he was being raised by a very abusive mother in California. And it goes through his life up until he is taken away from his family. It is a sad book, but every time I've read it with students, they really care about David and want to know what's going to happen to him. And the great part of it is that David continued to write books even after this story. So there are sequels, so you can see what happens to David once he is taken out of that situation, and you can read more books about him. The last book I'm going to tell you about is the book I'm currently reading right now, because I'm always reading a book. And this one is called Before We Were Yours, and it's by Lisa Wingate. Now this book is historical fiction, which means it's based on real things that happened in history, but some of the characters are made up. And in this book, we've got a family that has been taken by a woman called Georgia Tan, who was a real person back in Memphis, Tennessee. And Georgia Tan ran a Memphis, Tennessee children's home. And what she did was they would kidnap poor children and sell them to rich people. This book follows one family that has been taken by Georgia Tan, and it's the story of the older sister trying to keep all of her brothers and sisters together. I'm only about halfway into it, and it's really, really good, and it's keeping me very interested. One of the reasons I really enjoy reading is because I get to become a different character and see things through other people's eyes. I really, really like that kind of escape, especially in these times, right? So I hope that you're spending some time reading this summer, and I can't wait till we're all back together in school. Stay safe.
How you guys doing? My name is Chief Joe Delano with the Cleveland APL. I'm in charge of the Humane Investigations Department. I'm here to talk a little bit about the APL, Humane Investigations, and how you guys can help out there. So Humane Investigations work with multiple different agencies around the county. There's different agencies that kind of specialize in different aspects of animal and need in our community. Some of them specialize in stray animals, some of them specialize in ensuring proper licensing, some of them help with wildlife rehabilitation. Here at the APL, Humane Investigations Department, we mainly focus on animal cruelty and neglect. And some examples of that are we go and check out animals that are reported to be abandoned, animals that are hit or abused in different ways. We also check out skinny animals, animals that have possibly been in some kind of dog fights or something like that, but mainly just animal cruelty and neglect part of the puzzle. But we do work closely with those other organizations to kind of all come together into a way of helping all the needs of the animals and people in our community. We've been asked some tips you guys can do to help at home if you see some sort of animal cruelty or neglect. I would say first thing is, if you see something, say something. If you don't feel comfortable saying something to the person who's doing the cruelty or committing the act of cruelty to the animals, you can definitely give us a call. We have a hotline that's open, that's available 24 hours a day. It's 216-377-1630. We do answer that live during business hours, but you can also leave a message. If it's a very bad act of cruelty, if it's an emergency, you can always call your local police, and then they'll contact us as soon as possible, but they can get out there a little bit quicker sometimes. But I do encourage you to kind of read up on our website. We have some good information on there. Talks a little bit about how to care for animals, and you can always spread that education to your friends and family, and the spreading of education is usually the best way to create a good, happy, healthy culture and community for animals and people.
Argumentative writing is such a huge piece of middle school. All right, so what we want you to do is to think about the Animal Protective League Humane Officer's job, the clip you just watched. All right, so he has an incredibly important job. All right, but think about this question. When an animal has been taken away from its owner for safety reasons, should the owner be able to get their animal back? Okay, so what we'd like you to do is grab a piece of paper and write claim, reason, evidence, and counterclaim on it. Okay, we've done this so many times before, you guys are like pros by now. All right, but remember, just a reminder, when you write your claim, you're writing a statement. All right, so that's your stance, it's how you feel. So if you say yes, they should get their animal back, then your claim will be, when an animal has been taken away from its owner for safety reasons, the owner should get the animal back. Okay, if you're against that, if you say no, absolutely not, then your claim will be, when an animal has been taken away from its owner for safety reasons, the owner should not get the animal back. Okay, so now you've got to give a reason. Why? Why do you say that? Okay, why do you believe so firmly in your claim? Okay, now we have to go further. Now we have to dig into some evidence. All right, so let's prove why you said what you did. All right, statistics, numbers, facts, data. All right, we want to find a basis to be able to say, okay, this is what my reason is, and I can back it up with evidence. All right, so now the last piece that you're gonna write is a counterclaim. It's always, always important. You must address what the opposite side would say. Of course, then you knock it down, but what would the other side say? All right, I know at Scranton, we like to tell our scholars to always begin a counterclaim with, some people may say. All right, so that's a really good way to do it. And make sure that you're thinking, what would the other side say? Okay, so think back to the video and go ahead and write out your claim, reason, evidence, and counterclaim. Guess what time it is? It's journal time. We can't have a Wednesday without it being journal time. All right, so what we'd like you to do is to think about the personality traits that make you who you are, okay? Write down your 3 strongest strengths and explain in detail why you feel these fit you best. All right, so think about, are you super organized? All right, are you somebody who perseveres? You never give up, you never quit. All right, are you a problem solver? Are you kind? What are your personality traits? All right, then I want you to think of 2 different careers that if today you had to choose that you'd be interested in doing, okay? Then I want you to explain why you chose these and how the traits you listed would help benefit those careers, okay? So think maybe you're interested in being a pilot, all right? And maybe one of your personality traits is you're super focused, all right? You're very driven, you're very focused. Well, think about that, all right? A pilot has to be very focused on their job as they're flying, as they're reading instruments, all right? So being focused and the job of a pilot fits really well together, okay? So that's what we're asking you to do. Match the traits to the job you think you're interested in, all right? And then tell us why you think this all fits together.
Hi there, my name's Darielle Snipes and I'm a multimedia journalist here at CMSD. I actually work within the communications department. No, I am not a teacher. I am a journalist by trade. So you're probably wondering, what's a journalist doing here at CMSD? Well, my job is to tell the great stories of things that are happening across the district. So I talk to students about all the things that they've done or accomplished while they're here at CMSD. I talk to teachers about all the programs that they're implementing in their classrooms so that the students have joyful and adventurous learning. And I do so much more to show everyone all the great things that are happening within the district. Well, let me show you a few of my stories. Hello, I'm Darielle Snipes with another installment of Talk to the CEO. Joining me now is CMSD CEO Eric Gordon. Well, welcome back, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Whoa.
My approach to working with kids is there's kids first, there's disability second.
Green light.
Hi, I'm Barry Saman, and I'm an early interventionist at Iowa Maple School. We're at Fieldstone Therapeutic Horseback Riding Center.
For Sean Angelo, a 3rd grader at Wilson School, concentrating on classwork can sometimes be hard. His mind wanders. On this day, he is frustrated because his football team lost its game the day before.
We lost because none of us was really trying.
But instead of getting in trouble for not doing his work, Sean Angelo has a place he can go to regroup.
I just told my teacher, can I come to the meditation room?
So those are just some short clips of some of the stories I've done. And all my stories can be found on the CMSD website under the Newsroom tab, which will take you to the CMSD News Bureau. Now, to get my stories onto the website, it does take some work and some equipment. So let me show you what it takes to put a story together. Come on, let's go. So here's some of the equipment that you would need. You're going to need a tripod so that you can put your camera on top of it, a microphone so that you can record your interviews correctly, a telephone so you can set up your interviews, and also a notepad and a pen so you can take notes. Also, don't forget your batteries. They are very important. So I do shoot my stories myself. So it does take time to set up the equipment, and then also it takes some time to actually do the stand-ups. And sometimes I do have to do more than one take. And so once all that is done, I get a chance to interview people. Why, hello, Darielle. Well, hello, and thank you for having me today. So tell me, how did you become a journalist? That's a good question, Darielle. Well, I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be a reporter because I liked asking questions and I liked finding out information and then reporting it back to my friends. Some people might have called it nosy. I called it curious. Where did you go to school and how did you end up at CMSD? Well, I majored in journalism at Michigan State University, and when I graduated, I started working at TV stations. I've worked across the country at various TV stations, including in cities like Detroit, Indianapolis, Baltimore, Oklahoma City, and here in Cleveland. I've been working in television news for quite some time, but about a year ago, I decided to take this job at CMSD because I thought it would be a really great job to tell the wonderful stories of the scholars and the teachers here in the district. Do you have any advice for our scholars as they begin to choose their career paths? I do have some advice for our scholars. I would say try to do something that you love, that you are passionate about. My grandmother told me at a very young age, probably about your age, that if you do something that you love, then you won't work a day in your life. And that has happened to me because I love to write, I love to ask questions and talk to people, I love taking pictures. And so when I tell the great stories that are happening across the district, I don't feel like I'm working, I feel like I'm doing what I love to do. Also, if you kind of know what you want to do now, start doing some research on that career so that you will know what it takes to be in that career. So if you want to do IT, start doing some research. You'll find out that you might need to be good at math. So maybe you need to start making sure that you work harder at math. If you want to do what I do, you're going to have to be good at language arts because you're going to have to know how to write. So the last thing that I would say is don't let anyone squash your dreams or tell you no. So when I'm finished with the interview, it's time to write the story and to edit the story. So that is what I do for the district. I tell the stories that are happening across the district, things that you're doing, your teachers are doing, the programs that are happening. So I wish you luck in your journey as you pick your career, but I will say, don't forget about me. So if you know of something happening in your school or you or your friends are doing something fabulous and you think I should know about it, let your teacher know so that she can contact me so I can come to your school and do a story about you. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, stay safe, and stay healthy.
Good morning, CMSD scholars. My name is John Hanna, and I'm a licensed funeral director, and I have been for over 30 years. When you hear the word funeral director, half of you probably think, oh, you work with dead people. You may say this because you're uncomfortable with death, and that is understandable. We all die one day. What I do to help care for those who have died by providing the proper type of funeral arrangements to honor the dead, at the same time offering guidance and support to the family members who are left behind. This could be a parent or grandparent, a brother or sister, a classmate or friend. By thinking of and looking at death and how it affects the living, it is easier to respect what we do as funeral directors. Many people refer to what we do as the death care industry. In that phrase, care is the phrase that means the most. I thought I wanted to become a funeral director as a kid. My dad was a well-known and highly respected funeral director on the West Side. As a young boy, my dad would take me to the funeral home with him. There I would hang out and do small jobs around the funeral home. I would run the vacuum, set up chairs, and wash funeral cars. Often back then, people would say how helpful my dad was to them. At this stage of my life, I was too young to understand, but I was proud to hear this. As I entered high school, my responsibilities increased. Before school, I would wash funeral cars and clear snow. After school, I would return to help deliver flowers, clean up leaves, cut grass, clean, and do other small jobs. I enjoyed the variety. Around this time, my dad began bringing me with him to transfer the deceased from nursing homes, hospitals, and even their homes. I felt important and saw how important what we did to care for those who have died and how much the families appreciated what we did for them. I also noticed how kind and caring my dad was, not only with the deceased, but the family and friends as well. I was so proud of him. I would hear from countless people over the years of how wonderful my dad was to them, how he helped them. They would say they never forgot how he was there for them in their time of need. I grew to understand what a difference a good and honest funeral director could make in people's lives. I wanted to be like him one day. A funeral director is seen by many in the community as the person who drives around in a big black shiny car and is always dressed in a suit. It's much more than that. A quality funeral director must be respectful, kind, fair, and honest. To many of us funeral directors, we view our jobs as a ministry. The biggest benefit of being a funeral director is when we have families that come to us generation after generation because they trust we will take care of them and their deceased family members. They know we will treat them and their deceased with respect and dignity. Death is the ultimate equalizer. We have taken care of Supreme Court justices and convicted felons, bishops, housewives, and high-powered attorneys. They all have people that loved and cared for them. I get to meet and interact and learn from these people. There are challenges of being a funeral director. Death can happen anytime in a 24-hour period, 7 days a week. Death takes no weekends, nights, or holidays off. Another challenge is you must be available at all hours to help care for the people who need your help. Also, wakes, funerals, burials, and meeting with families can be on the weekends, in the evenings, and on holidays. Some of the people you help can be difficult. Death can be stressful. Some people, when grieving a loss, can be angry, sad, and in shock. Funeral directors must be sensitive to all of their emotions. Timing and coordinating funerals can also be a challenge. With clergy, families traveling and attending the funeral, scheduling obituaries in newspapers, and florists, to name some. What we do for the families we help is very rewarding. For those of you who have an interest in funeral service, education-wise, a funeral director, and to be a funeral director, you will need 4 years of college, a degree, and you will serve a 2-year apprenticeship. To be a funeral director's assistant, which many funeral homes have funeral director assistants, there's no college required. To be a crematory operator, there is some training is required. Funeral director is a ministry served by both men and women. At our funeral homes, Mulgore Hannah, we have 3 female funeral directors and 3 male directors. I thank you for the opportunity to speak and share information regarding my career as a funeral director. I can truly say that I love what I do. Thank you.
Good morning, CMSD scholars. My name is Norma Diaz. I've been working for CMSD for 19 years, which 15 years of those have been at Scranton School. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my role as a bilingual instructional aide. My job is to assist teachers to deliver instructions to our English language learners in their native language. I work with small groups or one-on-one to help translate, clarify, and interpret what's being taught in the classroom on a daily basis. I also translate for parents, teachers, students, and administrators when needed. I help with activities outside and inside the school. I help with bulletin boards, with culture activities, with any special activity that we do in the classroom or in the school. We also help with that. I help prepare materials, instruction, tutoring based on their students' need, and also help with tutoring after school. for those that need it. Some of the challenges that you face as a bilingual instructional aid can be bringing the stress of the student's behavior in the classroom or in school, and also being pulled out of the classroom for other things than helping delivering instructions to our bilingual students. So besides that, I enjoy being a bilingual instructional aid. Some of the benefits that you have of being a bilingual instructional aid are the gratitude and the appreciation and the growth that you see on the students once they learn and start understanding how to speak English. Also, some of the benefits being as an instructional aid can be, we have summers off. So if you have a family, it's good to consider being an instructional aid if you're planning on having summers off. This will be a perfect job for you. You can also go to school part-time if you're planning on becoming a teacher. To be an instructional aid, you need 48 credit semester hours, which is, I believe, 3 semesters of college, or have a bachelor's degree. Those are the qualifications that you need to be a bilingual instructional aid. If you don't have a bachelor's, you can go to school part-time, work as an instructional aid, and go to school and finish to become a teacher. That is it for now. Have a great day, CMSD scholars. See you soon.
All right, CMSD scholars, let's talk about trades for a second. All right, so first of all, Max Hayes High School has an amazing trade program. Are you interested in welding? Are you interested in computers? Are you interested in construction? Are you interested in automotive? All right, all of those and more can make tons and tons of money. All right, so take a look here. This is something that at Max Hayes you would actually be doing, building and constructing. All right, so this is a shed in mid-progress, almost done, and it will end up looking like this at the end. All right, so Mrs. Gus and I have seen you guys in class. We've seen you when you're doing our team building and you're building towers and you are creating things and those engineering brains are rolling. So if this is up your alley, if this is something that you're really interested in, and let me tell you, our world needs trades right now, then I want you to think about Max Hayes and I want you to look on the website, check them out. There are so many cool things happening there, and all working with your hands, all working inside cars, painting cars. It's a great school. All right, check it out.
All right, now that you've seen all these amazing career options, you are going to be writing a job description, okay? Do you remember our APL segment where you read biographies about each of the animals up for adoption? Well, each biography contained descriptive details and vivid verbs. The words really popped, like right out of the sentences, and they came alive. All right, that's what we want you to do with this. You're going to use the same technique, all right? Choose 2 to 3 of the careers you've seen today and write a 1-page description of this career, adverbs and details, and make sure that as somebody reads it, it paints a picture in their mind of the person that's reading it, all right? So along the edge of the entire paper, we'd then like you to create illustrations, pictures, and symbols that represent that job. Think of this as an advertisement to convince people to apply for this job.
What are your strengths? Are you an organizer, future thinker, discoverer maybe? What's your career personality type? Are you investigative, realistic, enterprising maybe? How do you best learn? Are you visual? Are you a logical, mathematical thinker? Or maybe you're existential? What career vision do you have for your future? What CMSD high school is the best fit for you based upon all these things about yourself? Don't have the answers to all of these questions? Well, no worries, because True to You is here for you. Greetings, CMSD 8th grade students, families, and friends. My name is Miss Audrey Davis, and I'm your district's True to You program manager. Well, what is True to You? True to You is our district's personal development, and career awareness mentoring program designed for all CMSD 8th grade students. That's right, every single 8th grader in our school district gets to participate in this wonderful program. So throughout the school year, students are going to be led on a journey of self-discovery from caring adults that are from our business, faith-based, and community at large that serves as their mentors. They'll get to participate in Naviance assessments to help them discover what their strengths or multiple intelligences are. They'll have discussions with their mentors about their values and their interests. They'll be led through activities to help them learn about their various career pathways and what each CMSD high school has to offer. Students also get to participate in something called the out-of-school experience. This is where students get to learn about the diversity of careers that exist within various businesses and organizations right here in Northeast Ohio, in addition to all the wonderful colleges and universities that exist here for them as well. At the end of the school year, we bring the students together to celebrate all the wonderful things that we've learned about ourselves, what is called the culminating event. During that time, students will hear from a motivational speaker. They'll also get the opportunity to get a little bit more prepared for high school. We talk about things such as the GPA. What does GPA even stand for? How do I calculate my GPA? What are things that I should know as a high school freshman before my first day of high school? So True to You is going to take you on a journey to help you learn those things about yourself. We're here to provide you with the tools to help you choose and make a smooth transition to high school based on a clear sense of your personal identity, goals, interests, and values. So keep an ear out for more information about this program. But until then, stay safe and have a wonderful summer. Bye.
So one of the really, really cool parts about the True to You program is you learn so much about yourself. All right. And one of the things that it's focused on is goals. So what are your goals for this upcoming school year? All right. Setting goals helps us to be successful by having the end in mind. Think about the new year that's about to start. I can't wait. All right. What are your personal and academic goals for this year? All right. Write out 4 goals for the year and then put this somewhere where you can see it every single day. All right, so here's some examples of different goals. All right, 1, get up on time and be on time for school. Number 2, be more organized and keep my schoolwork in order. 3, go to bed earlier. Yes, middle schoolers, you can go to bed earlier and get more sleep. Number 4, be positive and kind. 5, help out around the house more. I think that sounds like a really good one. All right, number 6, I love this one. Don't sweat the small stuff. All right, so goals are so important for success. All right, so you're gonna see Moises Tuez, who's a junior at the Cleveland School of the Arts. So he went through the True to You program a couple years ago, and he's gonna give you an example of what his goals are for this upcoming school year.
Hi, my name is Moises Tuez. I'm a junior in Cleveland School of the Arts Theater Department. Two of my goals for this year is to exercise more often and start my motivational YouTube channels. Thank you.
Okay, so we hope you enjoyed today's segment, which we highlighted different careers in and around Cleveland. And next week we're going to touch on some other careers. So I really want to recap what Mr. Hanna said, because when I was growing up, I never knew what I really wanted to do. I just always knew that I wanted to help people. So when I was like 17, 18, my dad took me to a funeral home, Mr. Hanna's funeral home, and I got a tour and I kind of decided I wasn't ready for it. And then I went into college and I decided to become a teacher, and I knew that teaching would give me an opportunity to help everybody and to help educate, help with social emotional learning, and I get to spend my day with so many beautiful scholars. So any career or job that you choose, I know you're gonna fly with it. So 20 years later, I actually ended up now part-time working with Mr. Hanna at the funeral home because I did not give up on my dream and my goal of working in a funeral home. So don't ever give up on your dreams. Mr. Hanna's sister is actually a teacher at Wilbur Wright Middle School or elementary school, and she's amazing. So let's just recap. You have a lot of options with your careers and your job opportunities. Librarian. This is an awesome book, The Red Bandana. My son is reading it right now. Physical therapist. Florist. We have gardener. Really anything, a seamstress, an embroiderer, anything. Obviously, I could use a hairstylist every week. So anything that you look around and anything you want to do. I've talked to a lot of scholars, Cleveland School of the Arts, architecture and design. Diego Cortez just got a huge award. He's going to have his own construction company. I know he is. You just go for it and believe in yourself, and careers and jobs are going to take you to places you've never seen before. All right, bye.
Hi CMSD scholars, my name is Dr. Dowie and I currently teach at Scranton Elementary. Today I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite books, but before you change the channel, hear me out. A lot of my students who didn't like to read before they came to my class love to read now. I think it's all about finding a book that really speaks to you. Sometimes, students think they don't like to read because they just haven't found the right book. So hopefully, while doing segments like this, I can expose you to different authors and different books with a variety of characters that might spark your interest. Know that you can go to the Cleveland Public Library website, and if you have your library card, you can download the books and borrow them online for free. And they also have audiobooks. So if you're somebody who likes to listen to books instead of reading them, listening to books is wonderful as well. I only encourage you that if you're listening, that you maybe have a digital copy in front of you or a hard copy in front of you and you read along, because if you're listening to the words and seeing the words, it's going to make you have a better vocabulary, meaning you'll know more words. And it will help you become a better reader too. Okay, so one of my favorite books is Piecing Me Together by Renee Watson. Now, this book is a Newbery Honor book, and it won the Coretta Scott King Award. So not only do I recommend it, many other people do. And it also shows a wonderful representation of a strong Black female character. So I'm going to go ahead and read the back of the book, because I think that's where we often have to start when we're deciding if we want to read a book or not. I am learning to speak, to give myself a way out, a way in. An inspiring and powerful story of a girl who believes she must get out of her poor neighborhood if she's ever going to succeed. Jade's mother tells her to take advantage of every opportunity that comes her way. Every day, she rides the bus away from her friends and to the private school where she feels like an outsider, but where she has plenty of opportunities. But Women to Women, a mentorship program. Now, a mentorship program is like when somebody older than you or somebody who has knowledge in a subject, they don't necessarily always have to be older than you, kind of take you under their wing, or they help you out in areas that you might struggle, or they just, and they give you advice. So, but Women to Women, a mentorship program she joins on the promise of a scholarship, makes her feel tired of being signaled out as someone who needs support, someone people want to fix. Jade wants to speak, to create, to express her joys and sorrows, her pain and her hope. Maybe there are some things she could show other women about understanding the world and finding opportunities to be real, to make a difference. So Jade is in this private school where she has more opportunities that she might not have otherwise. But she feels like the people that are there, and she says they're well-intended. They have good intentions. But she feels like they think she's a charity case, that she needs to be fixed. And they don't necessarily recognize that she has her own strengths that she can capitalize on. Now, when you capitalize on your strengths, that means that something that you're good at, you use it to keep moving forward, to get better. So say that you're a good public speaker or something. You could use that as a strength to keep moving forward. You can speak at events or inspire other people younger than you, or anything. But you find that interest that you have, like she likes to draw, she's artistic, so she wants to express herself. And she feels kind of hindered because other people are giving her advice about what she should do, rather than thinking about what she already has in her toolbox. So I hope this segment inspires you to pick up this book and read it. If not, I will be sharing many other books from my library this summer. All right, guys, have a great weekend.
Hi, I am Teresa Bender, and I teach at Paul L. Dunbar Arts Enrichment Academy. I am here today to teach you how to solve one-step equations using the flowchart method. The standard that I will be covering today is 6EE7. I can solve one-step equations involving positive numbers. There are many different ways to solve simple equations. I'm going to show you one method called creating a flowchart. First thing with a flowchart, you have to look at the equation and ask yourself, how many circles do I need in my flowchart? The number of circles depends on the number of operations that you are performing. In this case, the only operation I see in the equation above is adding 5. So we are going to need 2 circles. One circle to have the variable, then there's going to be an arrow in between, and then there's going to be another circle. The arrow in between will be the operation, and then you're summing it up in the second circle. So you'll have 2 circles on the top. Whatever you have on the top, you will have a mirror image on the bottom. So we'll have 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. The first bubble will always be your variable. In this case, our variable is C. The operation is always the arrow. What operation are we performing to the C? We are adding 5, so we would put the plus 5 above the arrow. Then we would say C plus 5 in bubble number 2. Remember, when you're doing a flowchart, it goes clockwise, so as we go down from number 2, we always put the answer to the equation. So the answer to this equation is 16. Now, we have another arrow. Now, to go from the top to the bottom, whatever we do on the top, we're doing the opposite on the bottom. So the first operation we had above was a plus 5. What's the opposite of plus 5, or what's the inverse of adding 5? It would be to subtract 5. So we would put the minus 5 on the arrow below. Now, we take 16 minus 5, and we get 11. So C is equal to 11. Now, we can always check our answer or our solution to the problem by substituting back in for the value of C that we got. So we had C being 11. So 11 plus 5 is equal to 16. Well, 11 plus 5 is 16, and 16 equals 16. So then we found that 11 is the solution to this equation. Now you may ask, well, how many bubbles do we need in the flowchart? Well, depending on the equation and how complex it is. In this problem, all we're seeing is x being divided by 3. So it's a one-step problem. So we need 2 circles for the top and 2 circles for the bottom. Think about it as one circle being the one operation, and then you have to sum it up in the next circle. So let's take a look at the first circle. The first circle will always include our variable. What is our variable in this situation? Very good. X is our variable, so we're going to put it in the first bubble. Now, the lines are always going to be your operation. What operation are we going to be doing to the X? Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? In this case, we're dividing by 3, so we're going to put that on the bar divided by 3 in between the two bubbles. Then you sum it up, x divided by 3. Now, on the lower part, on the right-hand side of your bubble, will always be the answer to the equation that is given. So in our equation, the answer there is 7. So we're going to place 7 in that third bubble. Once again, if it's a line is always an operation. So what is the opposite of divide by 3? It is to multiply by 3. So what is 7 times 3 is 21. So x is equal to 21. You can always check your work by substituting the value back in for the x. So where we have x up there, we're going to substitute in 21. 21 divided by 3 is equal to 7. Does 7 equal 7? And if in this case, it does. So we know we have the correct solution. So performing a flow chart here, you have to ask yourself, how many operations do we see in the problem? All I see is subtracting 7. So that's one operation. So we're going to need 2 circles on the top and 2 circles on the bottom. First bubble is always our variable. What is our variable in this problem? Very good. B is our variable. What is our operation that we're doing to the B? We are subtracting 7. So then in bubble 2, you will take B minus 7. Down below in the corner, right-hand side, we always have the answer to the equation. So going back, we have B minus 7 is equal to 15. So our answer to the equation is 15. So that will go into bubble number 3. Now, once again, the lines are operations. And if whatever's on the top is always going to be the opposite on the bottom. So if we subtracted 7 on the top, the opposite of subtract 7 is to add 7. So 15 plus 7 is equal to 22. So B is equal to 22. Remember, you can always check your work by substituting the value back in for x. We got B to be 22. So put 22 minus 7 is equal to 15. 15 is equal to 15. So now we know that the answer is correct. We have the perfect solution. Taking a look at our equation, the first bubble in our flow chart will always be the variable. So what is our variable in this equation? X. Excellent. Now we have to ask ourselves, what operation are we performing on X? We're multiplying by 2. Perfect. So then let's combine that. 2 times X is 2X. In our box here in the lower right-hand corner, the answer to the equation will always be in the box. So our answer is 8. Now, looking back up in the top of our operation, we have multiply by 2. What is the inverse of multiply by 2? Correct, divide by 2. So what is 8 divided by 2? 4. So X is equal to 4. Now, with equations, you can always substitute back in the value that you got for X. So let's go back to our beginning of our problem. We have 2 times, what did we get for X? 4 is equal to 8. 2 times 4 is equal to 8. 8 is equal to 8, so we can say that we have the correct answer. They both have to equal each other at the very end. Excellent job. Let's move on to the next problem. Now that you guys are experts and you've seen addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, we're going to get some practice here. So remember, taking a look at the equation, we have G and we're dividing by 6, so that's just one operation. So we're going to need 2 circles for the top and 2 circles for the bottom. Our variable in this case is G. The operation that we're doing first is dividing by 6. So we have G divided by 6. Our answer in bubble number 3 will be 4. Remember, to go from the top to the bottom, we always do the inverse operation. So what's the inverse operation of divide by 6? It is to multiply by 6. So 4 times 6 is equal to 24. So G is equal to 24. Make sure you check your work by substituting back in for the value of G and solving. 24 divided by 6 is equal to 4. 4 is equal to 4, so we have a perfect solution. So here we have another problem. Let's take a look at the equation. We have h minus 9 equals 12. So we're only subtracting 9, so that's one operation, which means we're going to have 2 bubbles up top and 2 bubbles below. Remember, the first bubble of our flow chart will always be the variable, which is h in this case. What operation are we doing in this problem? We are minusing 9. So what's h minus 9? Is equal to 12. Remember, to go from the top to the bottom, you do the inverse operation. What's the inverse operation of minus 9? It is plus 9. So now you have 12 plus 9, which is equal to 21. So h is equal to 21. You can always check to make sure your answer is correct or your solution is correct by substituting back in for the variable, the answer that you got for the variable. So when I plug in 21 minus 9 equals 12, 21 minus 9 is 12. 12 is equal to 12. Our answer is correct. Let's take a look at this next equation. We have 8x is equal to 88. Well, let's take a look at x here. What are we doing with x? We are multiplying by x, and that's all we're doing. So we have one-step equation. So once again, in a one-step equation, we are going to have 2 circles on the top and 2 circles on the bottom. Remember, our first bubble will always be the variable. In this case, our variable is x. What operation are we doing with x? We are multiplying by 8. So then on bubble number 2, we would have 8 times x. 8 times x is equal to 88. So on bubble 3, we will have 88. Remember, to go from the top to the bottom, we do the inverse operation. So what is the opposite of multiply by 8? It is to divide by 8. So now we have 88 divided by 8 equals 11. So x is equal to 11. Remember to go back in and substitute for the value of x to check your work. So we have 8 times 11 equals 88. 8 times 11 is 88. 88 is equal to 88. So we have a solution to our problem, and it is correct. Let's take a look at this next equation. We have p plus 12 equals 20. So all we're doing is adding 12 to this p. So that means we have one operation. So we need 2 circles for the top and 2 circles for the bottom. Our variable in this equation is p. What are we doing with p? We are adding 12. So our operation is a plus 12. So then we would go to the second bubble and write p plus 12. Our answer to the equation is 20, so bubble 3 would be 20. Remember, to go from the top to the bottom, we do the inverse operation. So in the top, we added 12. The inverse operation is to subtract 12. So then we have 20 minus 12 equals 8. So P is equal to 8. Remember, we can always check our solution by substituting back in for P. So we have P8 plus 12 equals 20. 8 plus 12 is 20. 20 equals 20. So our solution is correct. Okay, our last problem of today. Let's take a look at this equation. We're looking at this equation. What are we doing with the y? We are dividing by 9, and that's it. So that means we have a one-step equation, which means we need to have 2 circles on the top and 2 circles on the bottom. Our first bubble is always our variable. So what is our variable in this situation? Is correct, y. What are we doing with y again? We are dividing by 9. So we would write in bubble number 2, y divided by 9 is equal to 8. So bubble 3 is our answer to the problem, which is 8. Remember, to go from the top to the bottom, we do the inverse operation. So what's the inverse operation of divide by 9? You are correct. We are multiplying by 9. So 8 times 9 is 72. So y is equal to 72. Remember to check your answer as always to make sure you have the correct answer. So all you have to do is substitute in for y. We have 72 divided by 9 is equal to 8. 72 divided by 9 is 8. 8 is equal to 8. So we have a perfect solution to our problem. Now let's review. You are now able to solve one-step equations using positive numbers using the flowchart method. Have a wonderful day.
Hey Katniss, you know what you haven't been doing?
Maintaining proper social distancing?
Okay. No, filled out your 2020 census.
What's that?
It helps increase federal funding for the CMSD in this region based on the population.
Thanks for letting me know, but how do I do that?
Go to 2020census.gov and then hit Start Questionnaire, fill it out, and then you're done.
Thanks. I'll go do that right now.
This is CMSD.
I am. Yo soy.
I am Cleveland's public schools.